The number one killer is time. It will get us all.
Hi, one and all. 2016 is shaping up to be the most rammed year yet, with a smorgasbord of gaming delicacies to choose from, in part thanks to some slipped titles from 2015, but its losses are gained. One such game that will be flaunting its wares to attract our custom is Quantum Break. One of many exclusive landing this year, but brings with it some changes in just how exclusive these really are. As longer viewers of my channel know, I talked about and predicted this push from Microsoft last year in my DirectX 12 article, and its journey into a larger and more unified ecosystem model, with all devices being a Windows device and not just a PC, phone or Xbox. And the Apple model is their target, with each application running under the central kernel means that one size fits all, unlike DirectX 12 all being exclusive to Windows 10, as it needs to entice people into this model. With Quantum Break from Remedy, it will be the first day one dual Xbox and PC release, in addition to being a cross-buy, so you really buy one and get the other free. Digitally only, mind. Now some may jump on me here and say, but Killer Instinct 3 is also a dual PC release. Yes it is, and that hits March, but it may not be a cross-buy. Now this is an article for another time, and the aggressive push on such a title shows just how committed the Big M is with this vision. And with all that said, all the footage you see and I'm talking about is on the Xbox One, with no PC footage shown just yet, but the changes will most likely sit around, in my opinion anyway, frame rate and resolution, so long as you have the machine to muster it, but both will look equally mesmerising, as we can already see. The game has taken a very large change in direction since its initial showing and plan, from its planned TV show being uncast or indeed written when the mock-up pilot was shown. This continued with the lead casting changes for Jack Joyce, now with X-Men's Iceman taking the lead honours, along with some other well-known faces to present a star-studded cast in both real-time game renders and the show's live-action episodes that play out as you work through the story of your time-tormented tirade, and these change based on your actions in the game, and for those who don't like them, they can be skipped, although the quality of them looks reasonably high, enough to be of a TV show level, so they may be worth watching. Now this is not a huge surprise from the team that pretty much invented the concept in games. Max Payne is and has been a hugely popular series, and Remedy have never really left its bullet time concept behind. Alan Wake, now playable as a backwards compatibility title if you pre-order this on Xbox One with American Nightmare, was another Xbox exclusive, and the same engine is being used that powered that game's impressive volumetric lighting, highly detailed character models and seamless cinematics for Quantum Break. It's just very heavily modified. This is not the only thing that appears to be present from Alan Wake, as that game also ran with a V-Sync off and could happily tear across the vertical axis at will, mostly when volumetric light filled the screen, and we can see the same symptoms in the much upgraded and enhanced lighting system here. But with this preview build, I am sure this and some of the other signs I will talk about will all be improved or resolved come launch. Remedy's engine Northlight supports volumetric light in abundance, along with voxel use that covers both audio and visual elements. Sound is a key portion of the team's work, pushing this as hard as the pixels, and this is often an ignored aspect of a game's presentation and resource use. All these sound channels, samples and post-processing does not come for free. Even if both consoles have some form of dedicated sound processing, CPUs are still used for varying levels of this. As the game's nucleus is time and its distortion, then skewing, altering this involves sound as much as objects, and as such the team have delved deep into this. As the engine is heavily proportioned with middleware solutions, pretty much a standard across software development as a whole these days, from Y, sound processing and Umbra culling, this covered much in the team's GDC talk last year. You can find the link below or on our website. Umbra is used for both geometric culling of objects within the camera frustum and shadow maps. This is the same solution used in many games like The Witcher 3. But it also supports audio processing. Along with its voxelization process, it can easily and cheaply calculate audio culling from within the world, stopping sound from bleeding through walls, using multiple raycasts within the scene. This is all calculated at runtime, giving around 100 to 200 per frame. This is further mitigated by reducing the cast made from the distance of the player within frustum space. Propagation is managed through Umbra sound gates that allow simple markers on areas within the scene and marked as gated, so that sound can be muffled and given a 3D source and then dynamically changed within the scene based on action like a door opening or a window breaking. These all fall within the Umbra plugin and demonstrates how advanced middleware solutions have become. But just to note, some of these have been developed with Remedy's involvement. And it's clear from the demonstrations and the gameplay seen thus far that the game's audio is a real treat to your drums and only adds even more to the game's presentation and immersion. Visually, the team have taken strides to push the Xbox One as hard as possible. With the engine being a deferred renderer, it allows a huge quantity of lights and effects to build the final scene. Lighting has always been important in the team's work, and with Quantum Break they have only gone further with this, as it now supports both physically based materials and real-time dynamic global illumination. This allows light to bounce around a scene or environment far more realistically than prior games, with it taking into account both the source and reflecting body. Sadly, I have no high quality footage to work with aside what you can see here, but I'll use what I can. With such a vast array of objects within a scene, the engine is designed around streaming assets with a 2D spatial grid, all having physical properties with both collision and destruction. It presents a big challenge for the team and its solution to an indirect lighting model, as it not only had to work with these player driven changes, but also the puzzle element and volumetric light can all be and are affected by this. To achieve this, they merged a pre-computed solution with real-time screen space one, using light probes based on irradiance volumes that allow them to interpolate the information between points to reconstruct the irradiance within a scene, along with a pre-computed offline map that is merged to create the final light that calculates direct and indirect light across the scene. Backing this up is a screen space technique that allows higher and more accurate specular choices. These are mixed with the image probes when screen space information is available, i.e. when we can see within the camera frustum, then it is used to build the reflectance, which includes standard specular reflections and full reflections. When this is not possible, then it reverts back to the probe for its information. We can see this in play in the game with the engine's abundant screen space techniques evident throughout action. You can see skin highlighting a white specular bounce onto metal objects, characters reflect on ceilings, walls and floors, and these cast on dynamic objects just as much as static ones. But the merging of information points can show signs of error, as data is wiped away quite clearly at points when not in view. And along with some strong frequency noise around characters and objects, I feel these are the areas the team are working to improve for launch, along with the tearing sections already mentioned. But the sheer amount of reflections in the game, volumetric light, physical interaction and destruction is very impressive, making it clear the engine is both very well threaded and GPU resource is well leveraged here. The team did not use a GPU-based hardware solution to calculate the runtime data for all this irradiance and reflection information though. Instead, they used an adaptive or cascaded voxel tree solution, see how popular voxels are now, that runs within a 4x4 grid. When a bounding box returns true on a triangle, this is then broken down further into a 4x4 grid, which continues until the lowest limit or budget is allowed. From here, an array of information is stored and used as a lookup reference for the voxel points, and thus what data to sample and return for each pixel. Simple. Based on the team's data, all the global illumination information and runtime calculation takes over 3 milliseconds of render time. And you can see a visual representation here of their presentation at GDC, of just how the voxel works in real space, and also an example of where the probes are calculated within the map, with all the points selected worked out within the team's own algorithm. Now, further adding to the visual quality is ambient occlusion, adding self-shadows and depth to edges and contact parts of the scene. The team use a screen space solution here, Line Sweep Ambient Occlusion LSAO, which works from the depth buffer and looks to be a pretty good solution, with again some of the signs of its screen space process when occluded, but this is true of pretty much all ambient occlusion methods, but it looks good here. Geometry is handled separately and more in line with HBAO techniques, with it all calculated at 720p, as many portions of a game's renderer are made up of various resolutions, and it helps reduce its cost down to less than 1.4 milliseconds on the Xbox One GPU. This is also where some got confused with the game rendering at 720p, which it does not. At this point, 1080p is the game's target output. The list of effects is not done here though. With such a chaotic and action-orientated world, we see motion blur used at a per object level, adding to the game's presentation and smooth flow in combat. Looking velocity based and of a reasonable sample quality, it is both welcome and fitting in play. The anti-aliasing solution looks to be of a temporal variety and has multiple samples of frames to remove pixel movement within the scene at high frequencies, which it achieves well. But the ghosting signs are quite strong and leave heavy trails on brighter backgrounds, so this may be an area they look to increase the sample rates to help reduce this. But it's hardly a showstopper, it's just noted as some may have picked up on this from the game's showings thus far. It does only present itself clearly in the slower movement sections, and maybe they'll incorporate velocity vectors into its algorithm as they use for the motion blur. But with all temporal solutions like this and others such as SMAA, it is a balance of the benefits and trade-offs, but it all helps deliver what is shaping up to be a stunning looking game for Xbox One and PC gamers. This is helped immensely by its simply jaw-dropping real-time cinematics, using digital scans of all the actors along with motion capture. At times it can fool you watching actual film footage rather than actual CGI created data. It doesn't have more of the hyper-realised look we've seen in other games, as opposed to a photorealistic look, helped immensely by Remedy's lighting model here. And again, the sections that flow in and out of gameplay are completely seamless, and the animation quality is very high. Again, it's something Remedy have always been keen to push, and I'm more than happy to see them push it even further, as they're showing here. I am very much looking forward to getting my copy so I can cover the game in depth with a spoiler-free review and analysis, and even more to dive into the game's mixture of time-shifting puzzles, dual story control and chaotic action. Though this is not me playing on screen, mind, I can only say that for B-roll footage Microsoft would do no harm in acquiring the talents of somebody far more dexterous to show off the game's power skills and third-person cover action. Come April it will have a quieter month as the time gods have worked in its favour and mine, giving us more time to enjoy the scope of the team's vision in what looks to be an impressive action adventure for Team Xbox. Oh yeah, and Windows 10. Don't shoot the messenger. As always, I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this. If you did, then please hit the like and subscribe button, as it really helps me immensely, and I appreciate each and every one of you that does. If you're talking about this or anything else I've covered in a forum anywhere, then please feel free to share my work. Give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and a thumbs down if you didn't, and leave your feedback either plus or minus and tell me what you did and didn't like. Leave all your thoughts and feedback below. You guys and girls take care, and I'll see you very soon on the next one.
We never thought time itself could collapse and take the world down with it. Because we take time for granted. Just like I took you for granted.
Get a visual on choice. Confirm target. Guns hot.
But if I get another chance, I'll make sure things are different.
You're cleared to engage with weapons.